So I know why Obama should be on the political bastards list now.
Oh, do you?
I do. Sequester.
And yes, the sequester, because the White House came up with a sequester, took both the things that both the parties didn't want to get rid of. So the Republican Party, they took the stuff the Republican Party they knew they wouldn't get rid of, and they took the stuff that the Democratic Party wouldn't compromise on, and they put it together and said, "You figure out what of these to eliminate, or there's going to be a sequester." And then when the sequester happened, they blamed again, Obama started to politicize it, and he blamed Congress and mostly the Republicans for not for the sequester, even though it was started in the White House, and essentially it was like, well, if you don't come to a compromise, everybody's screwed, so you should come out with a compromise. So it's equally Congress's fault, but I mean, the way that
how
played
much
out,
it was politicized and
yeah, and
because of those dastardly Republicans, we're closing the White House so no one can tour, and it didn't have anything to do with that.
I didn't. I mean, the amount. I mean,
it took 3 days for the government to start spending that much money, anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, like I go through. I have access to like congressional stuff, and we have a list of like how much money is allocated for certain things. And I mean, even not as somebody who works in knows congressional stuff, I heard an ad sponsored by the federal government. I looked into it. The federal government and the state paid the state government. The state government used that grant from the federal government, and they paid the ad council. And the ad council paid. And it was an ad, and it was about how you should cut your fruit into fun shapes so your kids will eat more fruit. Why did the government need to pay for that? I mean, we have such waste. I mean, the sequester, you could have just cut stuff like that. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and all.
We had to have the air traffic control people. They had to lose a couple jobs there because sequesters.
Yeah, they just took stuff that they took the stuff that people cared about and took stuff that would affect people, and then blamed it on everybody else. The Democrats blamed the Republicans blamed the Democrats, and Obama blamed everybody in Congress. It was a big whole deal, and it was like, how about we actually do what we're supposed to do?
No, you gotta point fingers.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems.
Yeah, so he's going on the list.
Going on the list.
President.
What are we gonna do with this list?
We're going to keep it current.
Keep it current. Yeah. Keep it happy. Keep it snappy. Yeah.
Yeah. So every time someone does something, we'll keep a top 10 list, and we'll have to number these later on. Once we have all 10, we'll find out who's more of a bastard than who.
Well, and we should make them a certificate and send it to them.
There you go. You have congressional email stuff.
Yeah, and well, I couldn't use that for this, but yeah, that's very unprofessional.
I could forward it to you, and you could be like, "Hey, this is from your biggest fan."
I honestly, we could get the email of whoever it is. I mean, I have Al Sharpton's email just from Googling it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to email Al Sharpton and tell him, like, man, I really liked the thing you gave at the Moth, and you get a lot of bad press, and I didn't like you until that, and I wanted to give this heartfelt thing, and then I was like, no, that's gonna be, I don't think he'd read that, Like he's a famous
Well, see, that's why we gotta send 300 copies of this email to them to make sure it gets through.
Put it on fancy paper.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the paper we could do. It'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So
put a sticky note on every single $1 bill we get. It'll reach him eventually.
One day.
But yeah, we'll just keep it current. As this progresses, I know it's going to take a couple of these segments to actually get the entire list.
Yeah.
But we'll keep it current. Say Anthony Weiner donates his 30 years of salary to nothing but charity, he'd be off the list.
Yeah. Or what if it was all just a horrible misunderstanding and all those women he was doing that to were actually just his wife in multiple disguises? I mean, what if?
Well,
Yeah, his wife, though, I heard she's some. I don't know. I think this is kind of a conspiracy theory, but everybody's talking about how she's in the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm just like, what? I don't think anybody would allow that. You know?
why wouldn't anybody allow it?
That's a very. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't believe a lot of conspiracy theories about Obama. I mean, if Obama is supposedly this horrible, evil man who is plotting to overthrow the government, then I mean, all those stories about his birth and like he just has a lot.
test tube baby from alien spaceships that orbited Earth 3 million years ago.
You'd be surprised what people believe.
That's not real. Just letting anyone listening know. I do think, from the things I've read about how people knew him in elementary school and middle school and high school,
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem like he would fit that part. I mean, he's a good defense speaker.
Yeah.
If there's, watch him with his teleprompters. There are times that he'll come out and give this fantastic speech without a teleprompter.
Yeah, but everybody gives him a hard time about the teleprompter.
Well, because
But,
at other times when he's coming out and doing just a normal speech, he needs those teleprompters.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, honestly, I
we
think
can trust Joe Biden on the things that I think he's the biggest whistleblower in the government. Because
Joe Biden.
Yeah. Because do you remember he said we're trying to get the president off the teleprompters and they're trying to put me on the teleprompters.
I do like Joe Biden.
To an extent.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be on the political bastards list.
I think he's a nice old man. I don't know.
He's been in
I just
politics
like-
too long.
I don't think you can be in politics too long.
Yes, you can.
I believe you can grow out of touch.
Once you
See.
turn greedy in politics,
That's becoming out of touch. See, I mean, there could be an 80-year-old man, and
John
and
McCain.
well, John McCain's out of touch.
I mean, I have respect for what he went through and what he did back in the Vietnam War and everything that happened to him. But what he does now?
Yeah.
No. And he's on the political bastards list, up
he is.
in the top 20 somewhere.
I don't understand how he represents his constituents because I get Republican news, and majority of the Republican news organizations they really don't like John McCain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the people in his district don't, so it's not like he's doing them any favors or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I do think, I know this is going to go against everything you believe here, but I forgot what I was saying. A congressman should have term limits.
I don't. I miss
Because greed is like radiation. And all government is this big ball of greed, and if you stick with it too long, it gets into your system, and then you're poisoned with it.
Yeah, but that's regulate. I mean, what if there's a guy? I mean, Doug LaMalfa. He honestly, if he continues to represent the people like he does, he could stay in office forever. And I've met the guy. He's a really nice guy. He actually does what the people in his district want to do.
Name two people that have
I
been
can't
in
think of any.
Congress for 40 years.
Well, I don't know two people that have been in Congress for 40 years.
For
But
a
simply-
long time, more than that have been there since Reagan, I guess.
Yeah, but
I mean, there are congressmen that have been there since the 60s.
I know, and I don't like that. But if they continue to represent their district, I think it's fine. But I mean, if they're not doing their job, the people should be smart enough to vote them out of office.
Name one from the 60s that's been there that long and is actually representing the people in a good way.
Arlen Specter.
He passed away.
Unfortunately, I love Arlen Specter, but I mean, Arlen Specter, he'd been in there forever, and the Republicans, Glenn Beck, they all didn't like him because he flip-flopped parties a couple of times. But in his district, I seem to recall that he did exactly what they wanted to do. I disagree with a lot of what he did, but
Yeah.
he did what his district wanted, and that's all that matters in Congress. That's why I don't really like the whole political party system, because as a congressman, you're not supposed to go with the party. You shouldn't toe the party line. I mean, it's a useful tool to get bills through the House, but your foremost goal should be to your constituents.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, political parties are inevitable, but I don't know.
But greed and politics don't mix, just like capitalism and greed don't mix.
Well, greed and anything don't mix.
Well,
Socialism would work if everybody was pretty and perfect, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't like term limit. I think there should not be term limits because I mean, what if there is a good guy and he can't do his job anymore? It's like, I don't know. It's overregulation in my opinion. I do think yeah, me talking about overregulation.
It's overregulating a man that wants to sit in Congress for his entire life.
And if his voters want him to, see, that's the thing. I mean, if he's going to be corrupt and greedy, it's up to his constituents to know about it and to not vote him back in. I mean, the whole problem.
Well, they turn
could be
into
fixed.
superpowers.
They do.
There's someone that's going up against one of the big superpowered. I think it's in Florida. I don't know, but there's someone going against one of these congressmen that have been there for a long time, and they're this big name in Congress. Well, really, there shouldn't be any big name in Congress.
There should be, I think.
Well, because then they become a superpower. And they can just grab everyone by this leash and drag them wherever they want to.
Well, it shouldn't be a superpower thing. It should be your credible, reliable person, and that's what you can get things done. That's what your reputation should be built off of. Right now, they just have the money. They have the power. And you should do something to change that. I mean...
Mm-hmm. And right now, I think the way to do that is term limits.
No, because that would just infringe upon voters. There are ways to do it without disadvantage.
Well, they had to do it to the president. I mean, after FDR...
Well, yeah, because
it became obvious that, giving someone that much power for that long isn't
that wasn't
good.
their reason, though.
What was the reason for putting term limits on the president?
I don't know, but I know that wasn't their reason.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up, because I read something on it, and I know it made perfect sense to me. I think it was simply it was kind of the whole superpower thing.
Okay. So it's the 22nd Amendment, and here's the text. No person shall be elected to office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held office of the president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term which some other person was elected president shall be elected to office of the president more than once, but this article shall not apply to any person holding the office of president when this article was proposed by Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding the office of president or acting as president during the term within which this article becomes
Yeah, but
operative?
Yeah, operative. But what was their motivation for that? See, I honestly, I'm kind of against having term limits on presidents. I mean, if they do something wrong, shouldn't the voters not vote? It should come down to votes, not money. That's the thing. And right now, it's about money. I mean,
So before FDR, there were a couple presidents that tried to do a third term. Ulysses S. Grant did, but he lost because of party nomination. Grover Cleveland tried to serve a third.
yeah, and they didn't.
In 1944 election during World War II, Roosevelt won a fourth term but suffered a hemorrhage and died.
Yeah, but why
Roosevelt
did they
was-
do it?
According to Dewey, 4 terms or 16 years is the most dangerous threat to our freedom ever proposed.
Why?
That's all it says.
Yeah.
Look again.
I mean, I understand. I mean, I don't think a president should be able to hold a third term, and under the law right
Why
now, he
should
should.
anyone in government be able to hold a third term? I mean, aren't senators and congressmen the only ones that can't?
I think there's more than that. I mean, the mayors, can't they be elected?
No.
I know city
Well,
council. Yeah, city council members can be elected perpetually, at least where we live.
Mhm.
I mean, and why shouldn't they? The problem is not whether, I mean, they do grow out of touch, and if they grow out of touch, what should happen is the voters don't reelect them, but it's money. And you can't regulate greed. That just creates problems. So what you need to do is try and limit greed. I mean, I get because people do grow out of touch, but you shouldn't say that because this guy is not doing his job that other people aren't able to do their job. That's almost discrimination. Almost. When you think about it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, because I want to go into Congress, and I'm not arguing for that because I'm like, dude, I want to be in Congress forever. Because I don't want to be in Congress forever. I just want to serve this district because I really like this area. I mean, I feel like I could do an actually decent job, but I mean, there's a lot of problems with everything.
Yeah, I can't find.
Did we ever
We never
Oh,
moved
okay.
on to our third topic. We kind of went off topic here.
Yeah, we did.
Well, we'll cover that later. I'll probably put it in the video description of why we need term limits.
And why we don't need term limits.
Maybe we can do.
I think we should debate about this. I'll look into it, you look into it, and we'll hold an argument.
I'll add it to my list here. Need to debate term limits, and we can both do some research for a while.
Yeah, we can make it our first official JSA debate.
But I want to be the moderator.
Just because you're the moderator doesn't mean you don't have to debate. You can. Any member of JSA can propose a debate. But that's beside the point.
All right. Okay, so Egypt.
Egypt. Alright, so the only reason I like Rand Paul, I disagree with a lot of things Rand Paul does, but one of the only reasons I like him is because he wants to cut aid to Egypt, which
Yes.
I'm alright with, because Egypt is a non-cooperative power that is arguably guilty of human rights violations and is not compliant with what the U.S. wants it to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's kind of a reason to not give them money. Also, it's incredibly unpopular. I don't think there is a single... there are politicians who want to, but I don't think there's a single voter who is in support of sending that amount of money. There are people who recognize we need to send money to Egypt, but nobody's in... what was it? Last figure I checked was $12 million. I think it went up to $15 million. I don't know. It's a huge amount of money, and we're sending it to a country that
Is publicly executing people right now.
and is in the throes of revolution. And I mean, what happens? Okay, so they overthrow a government. Okay, so do we cut military aid to the government when they overthrew it?
I'm not sure.
Like, who are we funding? I mean, they don't. They have a security council and a tribunal. I think they have a tribal tribunal, but I'm not sure. I know Libya does. But I mean, we were providing aid to them before the revolution, and then they threw out the government. And then did we just give it to the new government, or did we continue to fund the opposition? Or I mean, I would assume.
I think it went to the new government.
I would assume so, but I mean, are they? And then again, the new government is the military, isn't it?
Now I'm not sure.
I know the military has a huge hand in that.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's.
I know. I think this was yesterday. The last updated August 15th at 8:44. 638 killed in Egypt.
Yeah. Also, I know for a fact, because I'm a member of the Religious Liberties Council, and that covers all religions, not just Christians, that they are persecuting not only Christians, but Jews and other religions, even some in Islam. So, I mean, they're burning down churches and such.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's just terrible.
And it's the government. I mean, it's not the government doing it, but I mean, we should just cut aid if the government's not stopping it. Yeah. And I mean, if that's not a human rights violation of just killing people who are in churches, I don't know what is. So, I'm in favor of cutting it, and that's the one reason why I like Rand Paul. I do not like the libertarian standpoint. I mean, I like a lot of it, but the whole send your kids to, because right now I am total libertarian, but I think that things can be fixed, and if they can be fixed, then I'm not a libertarian. Like with the public schools are not doing what they should be doing. I mean, they're not educating people to the standard. I mean, I wouldn't send my children to public school. Actually, I would, but I would also do my own whole homeschool thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I would not trust the entire education of my children to public school. But that doesn't mean that later on down the road that doesn't mean that public schools shouldn't exist. Because, I mean, I've heard some libertarian arguments. I mean, doesn't like the fact he thinks compulsory education is immoral, and I think it's one of the great strides that our civilization has made. So, I mean, what are you gonna do? So yeah, there we go. What do you think about Egypt, Brian?
This is gonna sound really brutal, but I think you're right. I think we need to just cut all aid to them and let them fester. Let it go the way we're gonna go. It's like blowing air into a tire with a hole in
it. That's a good analogy. Do we have anything else on the list?
Number 4, number 5, and number 6, and I'm not sure. We're running on 25 minutes here.
We can do a quickie or whatever one you want. Then we can just slap it on another one.
Well, we were going to touch on the rodeo clown.
Ah, that'll be quick.
Huh.
So, would you care to elaborate on the rodeo clown?
There was a rodeo clown that wore, I think it was a mask that looked like...
Yeah, it was an Obama mask.
Was it an Obama mask?
Yeah, it was an Obama mask.
Yeah, and some people complained, and he was fired and like banished from all this rodeo stuff. That's a violation of freedom of speech.
Well, he was maybe. I mean, he was in the employ of somebody, and he upset the crowd. Upset the crowd. Well, the crowd got upset. It was a primarily liberal crowd, wasn't it?
No, there was a couple people that complained.
Really? Because
the
on
National Rodeo
On my liberal news sources, they're telling me that the crowd was up in arms and it was a whole big deal. They wanted to destroy this man.
What?
That's what
That's not how
that's-
it went at all.
that's what I was being told.
Wow. Alright,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to put another topic up. Media!
Ah, the media.
Sources.
We're gonna have to cover this.
Yeah, that's going to be...
That's gonna take
maybe
a-
that'll be a special, like a 4-part special.
Yeah, because
we could go
I
on
mean,
and on.
I'm
We
I
should
don't
get
want-
a group together to cover that.
yeah, because I don't want to say I'm like an expert on it, but I literally belong to every wing of media. I've subscribed. I mean, and it's not just like I get information from them. I like talk to these people. I talk to anarchists. Anarchists are the opposite of everything I believe in. and
Now, is
I
this
get
talking or arguing we're talking about?
it's both. I get their because I appreciate their viewpoint, just like I appreciate.
Yeah.
Certain,
Well,
I mean-
we could bring that back to the radio clown. Everyone should appreciate the fact that this guy has the freedom to do that.
yeah,
I
I
mean, he has
mean,
the freedom to express yourself.
personally, I find it disrespectful.
Yeah, you may find it disrespectful, but it's his
But-
right to express himself.
Yeah, and I agree.
I mean, you don't have to agree with him.
But then we get into political correctness, and that's a whole sticky issue.
Political correctness doesn't make sense.
It's lost
To
its
itself.
meaning.
I mean, if you're politically correct, then
You're not living.
I don't know what we should do. We should have come on here and try to explain political correctness to us.
Is not politically correct. He's a populist. There's a difference.
Oh, what's the difference?
Well, a populist is you believe what the people believe, right? Like you go along with the will of people. It's the old phrase: the will of the or the voice of the people is the voice of God. And I mean that's a thing.
No, just doing that. I'll have to go back and like bleep these names out. But I can't see him. The will of the people with him.
Well, that's what he believes. I mean, he doesn't believe that the people are right in all cases, but when possible, he's gonna go with the popular demand, which I go with what's practical rather than that.
Well, see, I think then I would be a populist, but
Yeah, but that's different. I mean, there's a line because there's a fine line between populism and representing your people.
yeah.
I mean, if let's say you are a congressman in a district and you have the opportunity to vote on a bill that's only going to affect your district, and everybody, and you don't have to worry about re-election. Okay, you don't care about re-election. You just care about what's best for your people, right?
How it should be.
Yeah, exactly. And so everybody in your district wants all these jobs. But like, okay, let's say there's two companies, and there's a local company that can do that's supplying to your people, right? Let's say it's like a water thing, okay? They're like a spring water company, and there's a local spring, and they kind of have their own thing going on, and they supply what your people need. Well, there's another spring, and they want to essentially come in, buy everything out. They'll give you more jobs, but it's going to hurt the district in the long run, right? It's going to hurt your area in the long run, like really hurt your area, because what's going to happen is they're going to provide those jobs, but all that money that's staying, because it's a local business, is going to get shipped out of state now. And even though you have all these jobs and you have a better economy right now, the money could be spent in your district. So there's that like gray area, and everybody wants it, but what's better for your district isn't necessarily that. So then you gotta think about it. And in that situation, if it's better, and I don't care about re-election, I only care about what's best for the people, I would probably vote against having that thing there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the average voter is not terribly educated. And this political stuff is really I don't even grasp all of it.
Yeah.
So, and I
Well,
can
that's the thing. Politics need to be less complicated, and I know that's never going to happen because they've always been complicated.
and they just get more and more complicated.
Yeah. But just I don't know. So we're coming up to we're past the 30-minute mark. You want to call it here?
Yeah, why not? We'll just continue this later.
Yeah. All right, so that's the end.
Yeah. Red.
So I know why Obama should be on the political bastion.